So, first part of this documentary is that I was born on August 24th, 2000 in Papakura, New Zealand. I grew up in a Maori family. I grew up with, I was raised by two parents, and I was the youngest, I was the youngest child in the family. I have a bigger brother, but we don't get along. We had a falling out. It is what it is. So I could take back into my past. I grew up I grew up in the ghetto, where in Papakura we had a lot of cousins, aunties, uncles, so on. Um, I remember we used to I had cousins. We used to hang out with my cousins. My cousins used to always play. We used to walk down the street. We would always go to the playground to start playing at the playground. And once the street lights came that's when we had to get back home because the street lights was our curfew. And but if we didn't come back on time, we would always get an ass whooping. But those were the days, man. But in Papakura, I still remember a lot of things. I remember my my father was always going to work. My mother, she was a stay-at-home mother. Um, my mother used to live on a benefit. My father was always working. Whenever he was coming home, my father would always get involved in arguments with my mother. They would always have a lot of arguments happening in the house. My father would always beat her up. Like, I remember back then, there was like a lot of arguments. When I was going to sleep, I would always hear them arguing. And once I heard the noise get very loud, that's where my father punched me. I was shook back then. That's one of the main reasons how I got exposed to the violence in my life. The violence happening in families and siblings, rivalries happening with me and my brothers who fight a lot. That's how the never-ending cycle of violence was continuing. And there was no never-ending cycle. I mean, that never-ending cycle was hard to break because my father was still continuing to become more peaceful. And that's how I realized that I lost respect for him. And why I say that? Because I hated my father. I hated my father so much. I just, and I cut him out of my life. And my mother, this was back in 2004, 5, 6, but it still continued on when I was a child growing up into becoming a teenager. My father he left, he abandoned us, really, after we had a falling out and my mother left. My mother became the same thing. My mother became the same thing. My father abused her, and generational trauma was still continuing because my mother, she started having a go at me, and there was arguing with me at that time. And this was during my grandmother's house, when she was alive, and my mother was the reason how everything was going downhill during that time. It was sad, you know? But my father was the main cause of this trauma that I carry on to this day.